Okay, here we are. We're back. Burlington on the spot. So this is our first podcast of the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Today we have Rick back, Rick Mauch with Burlington Record.
So far, 2021 has not told 2020 to hold its beer, but there were scary moments.
Yeah, it has been.
Last Wednesday, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty crazy. We bookended it too, because I think our last podcast was with you. So we ended it with you, and then we were doing the season of giving and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that shows you what my priorities are.
Yeah, I was going season of giving, and you were going Bigfoot.
I went directly to Bigfoot, yeah. Well, yeah.
No, and in fact, I'm going to rebroadcast that Bigfoot, I think.
Trust me, if I ever found Bigfoot, I would give a portion of the reward to
the giving.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hold our hopes out for that. And then if you're listening, you probably, or if you're watching, you're going to notice that we're at a different location. So I wanted to thank Grinning Construction. Our office is undergoing some painting, and we're getting a new table. So we didn't want to have that hold us back. So we came in here. We're in Grinning Construction. So thanks to Grinning Construction for letting us use this.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
It is. If you're looking to do any kind of remodeling, build a custom house, these guys are great. They're the guys to come to. So they're located down off of Main Street in Webster on the north. I guess it would be on the north side of Main Street on the east part. So, or you can go to their website, grinningconstruction.com, and there's a contact page that we put on. I think that they put on the homepage.
If you see the red door in your rearview mirror, you've gone too far.
You've gone too far. Oh, and then one other shout out to them. They did carousel courts. So they're going to be, that's a new subdivision in Burlington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but thanks again, guys. So, all right. So we're going to come in here and we're going to talk about, I think from your point of view, the highlights of 2020. And then we're going to talk about some 2021 predictions. And I want to know what big stories you see coming up.
So the highlights of 2020.
Were there any?
You got 2 minutes?
Oh, yeah. So this is going to be a short podcast.
No, actually, there were some highlights of 2020. Of course, I didn't move here until July, which, of course, was the biggest highlight. But
yeah, that was a big one for you, huh?
Well, I was referring to the town. But, yeah, I'm glad I'm here, too.
Yeah, no, we're glad you're here.
No, 2020 was... I mean, I'll be honest with you. 2020 kicked our butts in so many ways. And of course, I mean, the obvious was COVID.
Right.
Good luck walking 10 feet and not finding somebody who wasn't in some way affected by it. I would be remiss if I didn't take just a second to just to say that it hit our family very hard. My dear sister, we lost her over the Thanksgiving holidays to it, and won't go into a lot of detail. COVID did control so much of 2020. I think in one way or another we were all affected in some way, either. Thank goodness. You think you might have even had it at some point.
No, I did.
Yeah,
I had the antibody test. So I mean, it was confirmed.
So, a lot of us have known someone, and certainly if not even in that, we've known, we had businesses shut down, we had sports affected. There was a lot more to 2020 than COVID, though. We did manage some very positive things out of this past year. Looking at the world of sports, the Burlington Cougar softball team had its best season in years. Stratton Liberty football made it to another state championship game. We just, although it didn't really fall in 2020, so much of his work was in 2020. Nate Hill was just named the full-time chief of police. In fact, you were a part of that, being on the city council. Yeah.
Yes.
John Cisneros was named the new undersheriff. A lot of positive things still happen.
Yeah, that's very positive.
We were able to pull off Halloween without having a big spike. Same at Christmas. We had people come out and help in with events and
the chamber had their parade, which was awesome. Old Town was great.
Yeah, so we were still able to do a lot and have a lot of positive things happen in 2020 because of COVID. We recently had the 2020 year in review in the Burlington Record, and to give you an idea of, we had no idea at the time, but looking back, it was really the only way we could have kicked off 2020 when the mysterious drones were all around the area and no one knew where they came from.
Right.
And of course, again, that was before I got here, but when I started looking for things to highlight 2020, I saw that and I said, well, of course it happened.
I think you need to watch my podcast with Daniel Amelia that we did on that, because we solved it.
Yeah. Oh, you solved it?
Yeah, we solved it. Well, maybe not, but we came close.
But I mean, could 2020 have started any other way?
It was pretty, it was definitely a crazy year. But when you look at those highlights on yours, I guess what would be the biggest stories non-COVID?
Higgins retirement.
Okay.
Glenn Higgins retirement, or Higgs. Is it
Coach Higgs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try and get him in here with the football program.
I think I said Higgins. I apologize for that.
Right.
Coach Higgs, a legend, 29 years, longer than any Burlington coach ever. He won 6 state titles. A lot of people were kind of sad to see him go.
That is a big story.
But at the same time, it was a huge story. I mean, the guy is a legend. Sports is huge in a small community, and we did have a lot of sports highlights. I mentioned a few of them just a minute ago, but we had Andrew Burton. I was looking for the name. Andrew Burton scored his 1,000th point as a Burlington Cougar basketball player back in February. Jake Traherne, the coach, won his 100th game.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Burlington boys basketball went on to make the regional finals. Stratton Liberty boys and girls, Idalia also made the state tournament. We had 5 wrestlers make the state tournament. I covered wrestling for 7 years in Texas, and I think it's a very underrated sport. I don't think it's underrated locally because it's got a huge tradition, but just overall, it's a great sport to watch. But I got to tell you, I'm really wondering how they're going to pull it off this year.
Yeah, what are you hearing about that? I mean, is there something coming out and probably in the paper about that, right?
I've heard different things. I haven't been able to pin anything down. Someone told me that the wrestlers aren't allowed to shake hands before the match, and I'm thinking, okay, you're not allowed to shake hands, but you're going to go out and grab each other.
Well,
that didn't quite come out right. But
no, but I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be in full contact. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure either on that.
Yeah,
I thought I heard that, and then I was like, maybe that's wrong.
And that's I'm not being critical of because that's.
Well, it's
that's
okay.
not a challenge I would want to take on to try and figure that out.
But it's okay to be critical when it doesn't make sense. I mean, and who knows? We'll have to wait and see if that's actually. We don't know, but
I'm curious to see how it actually works out in a match, and I hope it does. I hope it does because we have some a couple of good wrestling programs here, and I want to see sports move forward. I know one thing that has become a source of controversy in recent days is apparently CHASA is going to require high school basketball players to wear a mask while they're on the court. And while I'm a big mask advocate. I mean, that's no secret. Everyone knows that. I don't know about wearing it on a court. I mean, I think you open yourself up to a lot of possibilities there. I mean, I was told that I guess it was a scrimmage or something. One of the youth teams, I think it was in Bethune, maybe it was elementary or middle school, but they were having trouble with their mask falling down, or they were losing the ball because they couldn't see it when it was passed to them because they're, but aside from that, I mean, some real difficulties that I could see is I've tried wearing a mask on a golf course, and that's walking, and it gets hard, and it gets difficult to do, and I can only imagine what it must be like running up and down the court. I do applaud them for their efforts at being safe, but you look at the NBA, they're playing without masks, and they were, granted they were in a bubble, but even now that they've started the regular season, they're playing without masks, and we haven't had a whole lot of COVID troubles. We've had one or two cases but that was because they went to a party or something. I mean,
right.
You're not seeing a problem really on the court. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that gets pulled off. But back to some more highlights of 2020. COVID hit Kit Carson County around March, and then from there we know that we had the the spring sports season shut down. Most of what happened in the summer shut down. But there were still some good things. We elected a new mayor.
Yes.
We elected some new members of the council, including yourself.
Yep.
Now, the prison, they're still trying to figure out what to do with that. They were going to move some inmates in, but again, COVID affected that.
Yes.
So we'll see where that goes. But, we got a new hospital board that I'm really excited about, the plans that they've got in the works. And by the way, I can't reveal anything because I'm going to find out more next week, but in the next issue or two, we do have some big news concerning the hospital.
Like breaking news? Are we breaking news right now, or is this? No, this is a tease.
Yeah, I'll just say most likely it'll be in the 21st paper, but it's going to depend on what details I can get. It could possibly be the 28th, but we do have some big news.
But this month? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do have some big news with the hospital and some things happening there.
That's good to look forward to. I got a question. So as far as this year compared to previous years, how has it been? I'm sure it's been tougher for you. I know organizationally wise, it's been hard because you have to worry about all of your employees and all that. But what about like financially? Have you seen, has it been more of a challenge or? Well,
honestly, our company has been doing well.
So you guys are pretty held steady. And
yeah, we've actually done better than expected. Not just us, but Prairie Mountain Media as a whole.
Congratulations on that.
And I can't reveal any numbers or anything, but we are doing good, and that is something to be proud of, because there are so many media outlets that are really struggling. That are really hurting, but the Record is doing well, and our organization as a whole, Prairie Mountain Media, is doing well. And I have to say, as far as the safety of the staff, I've got a really good staff at understanding what we talked about earlier, the masking, the social distancing, the rule in our office is really simple. It's if you come in from outside, have on a mask. Once you're inside, if you are within 6 feet of somebody, put the mask on. If you're not, I'm not going to sit in my office all day and wear a mask. Right. But if someone comes up to talk to me, I, as you can see, I wear a gator mask and I just pull it up. And our staff is really good about adhering to things. I really don't have to get onto them or ride them, or they're just really good about having the mask handy and knowing to keep their. And in some cases, they do both. I've seen people that are 10 feet apart, and
well, that's
they
good.
don't have to have on it, but they just do, and it's becoming a habit.
Got you.
which I think is a good thing. Honestly, I walk to work every day, and I use my mask. I pull my mask up to block the wind. It's,
Well, today,
So-
good move.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I got wind burn from today.
But yeah, and then going on through 2020, we got a new football coach, McDavid, who I think is going to do some great things. He was a part of Higgs' staff for a long time. The Cougars had a real hard time this season with COVID and such, but I think you put Coach David in what I would call a real football season, and I mean no disrespect to the players who played. But I can't think of a better way to describe this season. That it was chaos for some teams, and unfortunately, the Cougars were one of those teams.
Fragmented. It's hard to, when you don't have any consistency. I mean, it was hard for those.
Yeah, I mean, they played 3 games in 1 week.
I didn't even know that. They did.
They played 4 games overall, and 3 of those were in 1 week. So how can you get any rhythm or consistency?
That's a lot of games in 1 week too. Your body to heal and everything. Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was. But I think you put Coach David into a regular, normal season and give him off-season time to work with the kids, because COVID, affected that as well.
Sure.
I think they're you're going to see a significant improvement in the team next year. We had of course some of the biggest news from 2020 was the election in November, which we won't go into a lot of that. But what I will say is we had a huge turnout here, as everywhere. And I don't care what side of the fence you fall on politically. This is not a political statement. This is just saying that I'm a big believer in voting, however you do it. We have a voice, and we need to express it. And we need to respect that voice when it is expressed. It's okay to disagree.
Yeah, I agree.
We grow forward from disagreements. You think everybody in my office likes everything that I do? No, of course not. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to not like ideas, or it's okay to look at an idea and go, I don't know about that. Well, that's when we sit down and we talk. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We work it out. We do something different. That's just how life works. And it starts with voting, and I'm just really, really proud of all the folks in Kit Carson County who turned out to vote this year.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's how progress is made. Had a successful fair and rodeo. That was huge.
Yeah, that got pulled off, and I don't think there was a spike or anything after that.
No,
so that was good.
No. And again, I think that comes back to people just using common sense.
Well, and I think it was outside too, right? I mean, we can probably say that made a big difference outside.
That
in
helps.
the middle of the summer.
Yeah, it does help with events that are being outside, but you can still have, if you're outside and you got 30 people crammed into a space of 10 feet, you're asking for trouble. But again, I think that goes back to people paying attention.
Yeah.
People just, not running up and hugging each other. And don't get me wrong, I miss hugs. I do. But because people used common sense and were thinking of each other, we had a really good rodeo. We had really good, some really good music and fair, and it was just. And that was right after I got here, too. I mean, I walked in the door, and they said, guess what? You got a big fair issue coming up.
That's good. Yeah.
But, yeah, it came off. It came off great.
You're highlighting a lot of positive things, which is good.
Well, there were a lot of
No, it
positive
is.
things. Yeah. I think the schools are getting a grip on dealing with COVID. There were a lot of shutdowns in the fall, but I think lessons have been learned from that. And so we had the first vaccine in Kit Carson County happened in December.
Okay.
Dr. Tang. And I remember when I asked her why she volunteered to be the first, she said, well, I wanted to get up to the mountains. So,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
we celebrated the life of Dr. Hoppe. And
yeah,
of course,
that's a big story. Yep.
his death was sad, but his life was glorious.
Yeah.
I never had the fortune of meeting him. I wish I had. Everyone who speaks of him tells me what a great human being he was.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because he meant a lot to this entire community.
Yeah, and like I said, I wish I could have met him. He was such an inspiration to this community, and he, from what I understand, he was a little bit of a throwback in that he just, like a lot of your old bedside doctors that I don't know if he ever made house calls or anything, but for some reason, when I hear people talk about him, I do get this picture of the doctor with the bag and the house calls, and everybody seemed to love this guy.
Yeah, he was a hard worker too. I mean, he was always over there.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. Burger King closed.
That's a highlight. I kid. No, it's not. No, but I've heard that there might be something else going that way. Have you heard that?
I talked to Raul Hudler the other day, and
economic developer.
Yeah, and he doesn't think anything's going to happen until after COVID, but because we might have family members watching, I won't say what I wanted to say or what I did say when Burger King closed. But I will say I was disappointed. I don't know if I've told you this story. We lived in a town of about 30,000 in Texas, and we were right on the edge of Fort Worth, which, of course, is 800,000. But our little town didn't have a Burger King. 30,000 people, no Burger King. 2 McDonald's. Nothing against McDonald's. I do like the McRib. But we didn't have a Burger King. If you wanted a Burger King, you had to go to Fort Worth, which was 20 minutes away. So I move here, and the first thing I see is Burger King. And I'm excited. And then, dang it, they closed it.
It was gone.
It was gone. Dang, 27 years.
You're waiting. Maybe you're the curse of Burger King. That could be it.
27 years, and they can't wait 6 months after I get here to close.
Maybe we'll get something better.
Those Burger King burgers.
Somebody had mentioned like a Taco Bell. I was hearing Taco Bell mixed with a KFC.
Taco Bell, KFC.
But I also heard Subway at the old Subway.
I love Subway.
Yeah.
I love Subway.
And I think with the vaccine and when things open up a little bit more and it's getting, I think we'll see some stuff move in.
We've got tons of property that we could put things on.
Well, you're going to start seeing more, and you already are, more of people leaving the cities right now, going rural, and I can say that's definitely true from one of our divisions that we do, Hughes Satellite. Mm-hmm. We're getting more calls down where people are coming out.
I can see that.
Of Westminster, of Denver, and they're moving down to. We had a couple people down in La Junta coming, up this way. So
that was a highlight for me in 2020. Was going down to La Junta for
the tarantula
migration.
Some of those tarantulas.
My wife held one.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
Oh my gosh!
My wife did not want to do that.
No, I wouldn't do it either.
You didn't hold it?
No, I got close to them and I held the phone over them. But no,
they're pretty docile. I mean, they don't. I don't think they're looking to bite humans.
Yeah. Says my wife, unless I don't make up my side of the bed.
Yeah. then it's ferocious.
But yeah, she's on it. She said, it won't hurt you. Yeah. Now, maybe next year.
What else you got there?
Well, sadly, a highlight of 2020, and I say a highlight. Burlington High School is changing principals. There was that big controversy. We saw a couple changes in the school board. And I don't know if I'd call that a highlight, but it definitely was
It's
a big
news.
It definitely was a big story.
Yeah, it's a big story.
And I've got to applaud Tom Satterley, the superintendent, on the way he handled that. It was a tough and controversial issue, and I thought Tom did a really good job of working with everybody on that. Of course, we talked about softball, football. We talked about the election. Council made a move to bring the new veterinary hospital to town. Burlington School District did appoint 2 new board members. And you guys got a budget passed on time, which is always a good thing, as did the county.
Yep.
So, we had a Burlington High School graduate, Preston Gribben. He's going to work in Rod Pelton's office.
I saw that. Good for him. Yeah.
And of course, we talked about Nate Hill, and I just think Nate's going to do a fantastic job as the police chief.
He's been studying hard. He's been working hard.
He has, and he's just a super nice guy.
Yep.
He's everything you'd want, I think, in a small town.
Yeah, and they're getting staffed up too, which is good.
Yeah,
we're getting up to what we need, the amount of level of officers we need in town.
Yeah, I agree. So, all in all, I was only here half a year, but Burlington impressed me from the start. There's good people here. There's friendly people here. There's smart people here. And they were very welcoming. Again, I said it before on the show, I'm just very, very happy to be here. And Burlington, as were a ton of communities, was affected by COVID. There was just no way around that. But, the thing that I found from Burlington is they didn't cower from it. And I'm not saying that other places did. I don't know. I didn't live in those places. But speaking for the town where I do live, we didn't cower from it. We had our difficulties. Yeah, we had some serious challenges that came along with COVID. But they worked through them, and they're still working through them.
Yeah.
And again, you can go back and you can highlight the parades. You can highlight Halloween. You can highlight, the things the school districts are doing to not just Burlington, but other schools. What they're doing to still make it a good, positive educational experience for the students. Troy, I would not want to be a teacher in this environment. I mean, you talk about heroes, and we are running something, by the way, next week in our in our paper. This is something you can look forward to. It's actually an ad, but we're saluting hometown heroes for 2020, and among those are teachers, EMT workers,
awesome,
city leaders, county leaders. I mean, there's a whole list. There's like 30 or 40 on there. And 2020 made it hard to stay positive. But I think locally we did a really good job of doing that. We took our hits. businesses closed for a while, and events were altered or changed, in some cases even canceled. But overall, as a community, I think we came out on the, we're not on the other side yet. I can see hope. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But as a community, we've been saying to each other, hey, I know what you're up against because I'm up against it too.
I mean, that's why when we talk about the highlights that you're bringing up these things that aren't COVID related necessarily, or even politics, because everyone's getting so much of that. And
I'm sick
people
of it,
might be burned out a little bit on it too. Although when we get after your predictions and stuff, I do want to get your take on one thing, which right up your avenue. Okay. And you and I tend to, we agree to disagree on some things, and that's okay. We still can maintain a friendship and, and work through it. But it would be interesting after we go over the highlights to talk a little bit about freedom of press, because I'm worried about some things that are going on with, and then, social media and suppression of, it's a slippery slope. So I want to get your take on that as somebody who probably falls in a little bit of a different political spectrum than I do. So,
well, we have to agree to disagree a lot.
Yeah.
And again, going back to something we talked about earlier, that's not only okay, I think it's good.
Well, especially if you can have civil discourse.
Yeah.
Sit down and talk through it. And,
yeah.
Okay, so now we're going into predictions.
All right. Well, I had a little free time today. Actually, I didn't. I just made this happen. You can now run a newspaper. There's no such thing as free time. But yes, I did. I did clear out a few of the old cobwebs up here and got the wheels thinking. What's 2021 going to bring? And I'm excited about a lot of things that are going to happen locally, statewide, I think nationwide, worldwide. I'm excited about a lot of things. These things I'm really excited about.
Let's hear them. Give it to me.
These are some predictions I have for 2021. We will no longer have tackle football. It'll be flag football.
Really? That's a bold one.
And if you touch someone, it is a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. There's too much money.
Maybe more, depending on where you touch them.
Okay, fair enough. I'm giving that one a no. I'm going to give you thumbs up or down, okay? Thumbs down on that one.
Basketball will go from being the way we know it to being a long shooting contest.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That one I'm giving a sideways thumb. That could happen.
Wrestling, we talked about that a while ago. It'll be replaced by shadow boxing.
Okay. Professional wrestling, or are you talking about like high school wrestling?
Well.
Professional wrestling's fake.
Professional wrestling, they'll just throw chairs at their
there
shadows.
There you go. Yeah, shadow boxing. Okay, I'm giving that thumbs down.
We've been talking about the vaccine. And some people, they're scared of the side effects. And then, to a certain degree, I can understand that.
Sure.
It's new. We don't know.
Right.
But we find out that the side effects are actually not bad. They're actually great. And the greatest side effect is you turn into whatever you dreamed you wanted to be as a child.
So you're going to be Bigfoot?
Well, I was wondering what are we going to do with a world full of astronauts and ballerinas?
Okay. Yeah, because you probably weren't into Bigfoot when you were a child.
Now, the flip side to that is we also find out if you don't take the vaccine, your worst nightmare comes true.
For me, that's you turning into Bigfoot.
So I'm begging people, please take the vaccine.
I'm going to stop with it.
I'm begging people, please take the vaccine because I do not want Britney Spears to be president.
Yeah, that could. Oh man, yeah. Hey, if Kanye can run, so can she.
Brad Pitt's going to have a sex change.
Okay.
He will have a sex change.
Actually, that could happen.
And he will instantly become the he will instantly become the sexiest woman in America.
To your prediction.
Okay, we're throwing in here. Mary Kate's throwing in a prediction.
He
There you go. There you go. That was a good one.
The Alabama Crimson Tide will actually lose a football game.
I doubt that.
I'm kidding.
I mean, they, you know, that's like a pro team.
No, I'm kidding.
I bet Alabama could beat the Broncos.
Speaking of the Broncos, they will win a football game. Again,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
They got a new GM, I saw.
But again, I'm kidding.
They might win a game.
We will find a cure for COVID-19, but as soon as we do, a new deadly form of, I don't know if you call it a virus, it's actually a deadly form of passing gas.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting prediction.
Authorities are perplexed because they're trying to figure out if it is actually murder if you just can't hold it in.
That'll probably get cut out.
Oh, come on. That's awesome. I'm going to get a call from that ranch in Kansas once that farmer looks at his footage and wonders why that same car was going in circles for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And in case you don't know this is when Rick was coming back from Texas.
Actually, we're on our way to Texas, but...
Oh, that was on the way too? I thought it was on the way back.
The way back was a whole nother story.
Yeah, but on the way out there, you like spun out.
That was the coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On the way out there, GPS took us to... And GPS wasn't wrong because it really did take us to a shortcut to I-35, but it was across a ranch, a big ranch. And the gates were all closed. There were like 4 exits onto the interstate, but the gates were all closed. And so we circled and we went on a terrain that an African safari vehicle would have trouble navigating, and here we are in a Chrysler 300. So,
jeez.
I probably said more cuss words in those 2 hours than I've said in 61 years of living.
Yeah, that can get intense.
I think I created some cuss words. My wife's over there.
You blended some together.
My wife's over in the passenger seat, wondering why in the world she let me behind the wheel. Yeah, it was an experience, and you can read about it in our January 7th issue of the Burlington Record.
Beautiful.
But yeah, that was. So I'm expecting a call from that rancher at some point. Baseball will employ a new social distancing rule. When you get a base hit, you don't leave the bat at the plate. You take it on base with you.
Okay.
And when you're going into base, you start swinging that thing.
Keeping everyone away?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
You don't need to slide. Go into second swinging that sucker. Let's see. Scientists discover that pigs can actually fly.
That one could be.
As a result, the price of bacon goes sky high. I'm sorry. I couldn't
That could be a
resist.
good one. That could be a good one.
I couldn't resist.
And so many moms are going to have to come through on their promises.
Yeah.
Pigs fly.
When pigs fly.
A new car will be invented called the Toiletta.
I like it.
Don't ask me how it's fueled.
Okay. Is that with that noxious gas you were talking about?
Oh, it's noxious, yes. Well, I mean, why go green when you can go brown?
Oh, I like that. That's a slogan. That's a good slogan. That'll compete with Tesla.
Murder hornets are going to be replaced by social media insult hornets.
Okay.
It just sounds nicer.
Yeah.
MySpace.
What's that?
Well, it
Are you talking about MySpace from like 2000?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
MySpace finds new life thanks to the many people who have left Facebook and Twitter. However, MySpace fails once again because the people on there don't get along because they find out it's not really their space.
Okay, I like that. That could actually happen. It's a good list.
Well, I'm not done. We got a couple more here. Bigfoot is spotted in downtown
Burlington?
Burlington. He tries to hide. Problem is, he tries to hide and he tries to tell us that he's not really Bigfoot. Problem is, no one can understand Sasquatch language for fake news.
That's a good one. My prediction on that is Bigfoot comes here and Bigfoot is attacked and taken out by Berkey. I think Berkey the turkey could take out Bigfoot, which I haven't even, I don't even know if Berkey's around.
I thought about putting something in about
Berkey.
I thought about putting something in about
Berkey
Berkey next Thanksgiving, but I just couldn't bring myself
Man, I hope
to do
Berkey
it.
isn't gone.
I heard there's more than one Berkey.
That is a conspiracy theory. That's not
theories.
true.
Oh, it's true.
And my
Are
final
you
prediction-
serious? I think there's only one Berkey.
Listen, I heard it from a good source, I think.
No, there's-
I think there's one Berkey. That's like saying that there's more than one Sam. I mean, there's like one Berkey.
Have you ever just seen one turkey?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I'm telling you, I saw Berkey by itself on a walk.
Yeah, but she doesn't live in Burlington by herself.
I'm holding my tongue on that.
All right, well, that's a conspiracy we'll get to the bottom of.
And my last prediction for 2021. Troy finally gets his hands on a Bigfoot beer, only to find out that it's really just recycled Schaefer.
Oh, yeah.
And for those who don't know what Schaefer
Schaefer's
is,
bottom of the barrel.
Schaefer was like the cheapest beer in the world. When I was in college, we would scrape and scrimp and search the sofa cushions, and if we could come up with $6, we'd go get a case.
Yeah. That was like Olympia or
Oh gosh, yes.
Keystone Light. Yeah.
Yes.
No, those are, But, so I tried to find the Bigfoot beer.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're going to
they-
find one in 2021.
Well, there was like, in Littleton, there was a couple stores that supposedly carried it, but it's like finding Bigfoot. I mean, you're just not, it's not going to happen. There's been rumored sightings, but I tried. I went to both stores, and they're like, nope, we don't have it. Sierra Nevada makes that. We'll get it. We'll get it for one of our 30-minute editions coming up here. So, really quick, before we wrap up, I do want to spend just, a few minutes on what we touched on, just like with the free speech. I mean, you've been in media your whole life. You're an editor. It's what you do. And obviously, and I'm not talking
and
about
hopefully I will still be in it.
yeah, no. and you will continue to do so as long as you don't go to Vegas. That's an inside joke. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so the last couple times Rick actually, anyways. No, so on that, on the free speech thing, and I'm not talking about the president, okay? I'm just talking about when you start silencing platforms, I guess what's going to have to come out of this is determining, is Twitter, is that a source of communication? Like a phone, you know what I mean? I just like, if we have free speech, how do you shut some people down? What do you think? I mean,
Well, we do have free speech, but we have to understand that with that can come consequences.
right,
I can't stand up in a movie theater and yell fire.
right.
I mean, I can because of the free speech part of it, but I'm probably going to get hauled off to jail because, yeah, we have free speech, but we have to understand the consequences that go with that. And again, circling back to social media, I think there's a lot of people who don't understand that concept. You can make that Facebook post. You can make that tweet. But there might be a consequence to pay. You might lose a friend. You might have someone, heaven forbid that somebody does something that brings in the authorities, but that has been known to happen. It's just a consequence of free speech. We can say things, but we have to understand that they might backfire on us. Now, we shouldn't say certain things, and when I say that, I mean, we shouldn't insult each other. We shouldn't. You know what I'm saying. Just because we can say something doesn't mean we should say something.
Okay. I mean, I understand that. And I guess what's going to have to come out of all this stuff is the guy who invented Ethereum.
Yeah.
And I saw a post that he had on Twitter where he was saying he thinks there needs to be, like with Twitter specifically, some kind of a board or something where you have multiple people that's not inside that are trying to help make rules for that, so it's universal. Like you've established the code of conduct, but just so that there's not these discrepancies, right? Where you take one person down, and then you have somebody else that's inciting violence, or and then they're still up. So again, it's a level playing field, you know. And I just, because that's the big thing I think, is you just want to make sure that it's something that everyone abides by, I guess.
I will be honest with you. I have at times reported people on Facebook, and it's not a habit that I make. I've probably done it only 2 or 3 times in the 10 years that I've been on Facebook. But when somebody insults somebody's ethnicity,
Okay.
or when somebody, goes into a sexual harassment direction,
Oh, yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
and when somebody threatens,
Threatening, yeah, I agree.
and I've actually been threatened on Facebook, not since I moved here, but back in Texas, we had I wrote a story about something that the Fort Worth City Council was doing, and someone disagreed with it and sent me a message saying, I know where you live, and I know when your family comes and goes.
Jeez, yeah. No, obviously something like that.
And
yeah,
this was
like a threat.
This was about 6 years ago, I guess, 5 years ago, somewhere in there. And at that point, I realized this is fun, being on Facebook and joking around and everything, but it can get deadly serious in a heartbeat. And I would advise anybody who finds something that is racist or sexist or threatening, especially threatening, report it.
Yeah. Well, and I guess what I'm talking about is more stuff like disagreeing opinions, I mean, that's not any of the things that you described.
No, I don't think a person should be banned for disagreeing opinions. I know there are people who want to do that, but again, it depends on how far those opinions go. If it's just a difference of an opinion, well, I mean, that's fine. People have a right to that. But if someone says to someone else, well, I think that's wrong, and this is why, you're just having a different
Right. Or like with the paper, you'd probably have opinion pieces, right? Where
if
people would come in and do editorials with differing positions
and
on whatever the issue.
And we run varying opinions.
Because it used to be that way, right? With the Denver Post. I mean, here, I can relate to the Denver Post, Rocky Mountain News, where you would have, here's this point of view, and they lay it out. And you go, here's the opposing point of view, and you'd lay it out.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're getting away from that.
You won't ever see anything in our paper where, and I don't think you'd see it in most papers. I can't say all, but I can't think of one that would run something like this. But it's like again, going back to the Facebook post. Let's say I post something and someone disagrees with it. If that person goes on to, goes on to to call me a name or to threaten me or to maybe say something about one of my family members or something.
Sure.
Well, that's a line.
I agree
with you.
Yeah, I agree.
And at that point, it no longer becomes a discussion. It becomes harassment. And for that same reason, you won't see anything in the paper where, people can get mad all they want at Governor Polis. He's a politician, and politicians are open game. And I'm just picking him out of the air because he's our governor.
Right.
But to attack his personal life, to attack his anything from his background that is not related to the job he's doing, you won't see those things. I mean, if someone were to call him an SOB, for example, you won't see that.
Right.
The odds are that won't get in, or it'll certainly get edited out.
Well, and I guess what I'll do is when we meet in February to go over the news again, we'll see where it goes, because it's in the middle of figuring a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, with other social media companies getting deplatformed, because then it's like where you say, and specifically there was Parler, right? And I don't know if you're following that at all, but it was like it's basically like another platform that's like Twitter,
Right. Yeah.
And so what it
seen
is,
some of the posts.
yeah, it's like, and so, but it's not all bad, right? I mean, those posts you could take down, but what happens is if you tell somebody, look, you don't have to be on here because it's a private company. I'm more interested in like what's going to happen with the rules with 230 and all these things, right? Like what it considers those channels to be, because it's like, okay, we're going to take you off of Twitter because it's our private company, which it is a private company.
Yeah, they do have
right?
a right to do that.
So then you can go set up your own, right? Because it's, competition. So then you go out and try and do that, but you can't, and because Amazon took them off for hosting. So they might find somebody else, and that's their own fault. They should have had a backup plan. But when you start having monopolies, that's where I start any monopoly that can control. And I'll give you specific examples when we meet next time, so I can get your take on that. Because it's just, it's the freedom of speech that I look for, not if it's insightful, hateful, anything that we said.
Right. Again,
just, a differing opinion. I think it's important to have differing opinions.
Differing opinions, I agree. I welcome them. I think we learn from them. I think we grow from them. But I think stuff that gets people banned, if that gets a person banned, then I've got a problem with that. What I think gets people banned is when they venture into harassment or hate speech or, something that they might think is funny but is racist.
That could happen.
Again, we come back to, I guess freedom of speech allows you to say it, but
yeah, again, should you? No, I know what you're saying.
I sometimes even wonder about that. I mean, because should you have the freedom to say something racist? I don't know. That's a fine line. Because personally, I don't think there is room in society for saying or doing such things.
Yeah, if it's hateful, and I know what you're saying.
But
well,
then you get into censor and things like that.
Yeah, it's nuanced for sure.
But I think the safest route is to just understand. If you want to say it, there might be consequences.
Yep, I agree with that. So, all right. Well, I took us down there a little
ways,
but
we'll touch on like this stuff I've been saying for an hour, and
thanks.
There'll be consequences.
No. Thanks for coming in here. We'll see if any of your predictions come true. I hope most don't. So, except for maybe the Bigfoot.
I hope you get the beer, man.
That one would be a good one. We're gonna find that. So, thanks for coming in, and then we'll sit down and we're going to do shorter segments going forward, just kind of new stuff, like what the record's reporting on. This one's a little bit longer because we haven't done a podcast in 8 weeks with the holidays and everything. So we'll sit down in February and go over news again and see where we're at.
Sounds good, my friend.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.